In this vlog, I'm going to share with you the 4 interesting places in Morocco. So make sure you watch till the very end because the last one is the most interesting. This place where I'm at is Chellah, located in Rabat, Morocco. But before I begin, I'm going to go over to this cat and try to feed her. When you're in Morocco, you'll find cats everywhere. So you have to be used to them or get used to it if not. Uh, and always try to have food with you because they'll ask you for food. So like this one, she's extremely hungry. She's trying to jump over me. We got some leftover food, some fries and rice. The chicken I ate, but I'm giving her fries. But as you can see, she's really hungry. So I'm gonna feed this cat a little bit before I start walking. But going back to the Chellah, so this place was initially inhabited by the Phoenicians way back, and then when the Romans came, they actually built. So the Phoenicians actually had colonies all around here, but then when the Romans came, they actually left their touch. So these stones that you see on the left of me, they're the remnants of the Roman walls, and all these stones right here, those big old stones. This is what remains of the Romans from back in the day. You know, sometimes I wonder how they're able to get these huge stones moved from one place to another. They must need an army, or they must be very strong. But I think that goes for any Roman architecture. It's very spectacular. But this is just whatever is left over here. And you know, it was abandoned for several years. And later on, when the Muslims came, they built a mosque. It's actually right in front of me. You see the minaret right there. And then right by the mosque is where they built a madrassa. So the area by the mosque, or what remains of that is the madrassa. As once again here the Roman ruins. But you know, a lot of it's just whatever remains from way back in the day, and they just made this a historical site that people come and visit. Some more huge stones. I just continue to explore here and see if I notice anything else. Um, but yeah, a lot of history to this place. Years and years of history that's changed hands from you know one type of people to the other. Uh, and there you see the minaret again, and then you know there's the madrasa there, and whatever remains of the Roman walls is right here. You know, I had to hurry up and see as much as I could because they closed at 5 o'clock, and it was close to the time when we reached there. So we quickly took this tour, saw as much as we could, and then had to get out because there's uh, actually a guy who walks around to make sure that there's no one around when they close the place. And here you have some kind of another huge wall. The place that you see behind me with this big red colored wall, that's called Kasbah of Udayas. Inside is where the old city is, not exactly the Rabat old city, but it is still the old city. And in it, when we go, you'll see many places to eat and walk around. And this is where the shoreline is. People are walking all the way for miles and miles ahead of me. And then even on the other side, there's a masjid over there on one end, and then some apartments on the other side, but the touristy spot is more towards the right of me. All right, let's go. Towards the you know, these blue walls all around in this walled city is the signature painting. You'll see this signature painting on the wall. You'll see this all across the city. So the city is actually it's actually got walls all around it. It was initially built in the 12th century by Almohadun. I mean, Almohadun were pretty much a were the people that ruled this area, and actually they used parts of Iberia, Al-Andalus or Spain. So they had pretty large control, and then they had built this in the 12th century because they needed a safe area. And when the Muslims were getting driven out of Spain, they actually came and sought refuge in this place. So quite a bit of history, besides its blue look and uh, and fortified from all places. Uh, there's actually a specific entrance that you use to get into this Kasbah, and the specific path that takes you all the way to the top, overlooking the ocean. Um, there was somebody actually almost following us, and every few minutes he said, "You need a tour guide, you need help with directions, or you need anything else." He was being so persistent. We figured that he's gonna help us, but eventually he'll ask us for money. So be careful of those. But we're lucky that we were able to find our way through this alley. But that's pretty much what you have to see. You have to go into the city, go for some sightseeing, look at the walls. These are actually houses, people live in it, and then go up to the top, overlooking the ocean. So I'm going to continue walking around here, but you got to be careful. Some of these alleys are actually dead end.
All right, so this is the place that I was talking about. As you go through the town of Kasbah of Udayas, at the end of it, you have to know where you're going actually, and then at the end of it, you'll find this one specific spot where you can, it's overlooking the ocean. It's a very beautiful spot. So you walk through all these Portuguese style houses with the blue and white lining, and at the end of it, you come to this. Actually, this place was closed, but the guard was nice enough to open it up for a few minutes for us. So I'm grateful for that. And actually, people here are very nice in general to the tourist. Anytime they find out you're a tourist, they say welcome, welcome to Morocco, welcome to Tangier, and they help you out. They actually go out of their way to help you out, to help you with directions. There was one place right outside a cafe. We were trying to look for the King's Palace, and the taxi driver didn't know where it was, and I didn't have the address. So the guy came out of the cafe. He took me to a hotel, to the guy who spoke English. The guy looked it up on the internet, found the address. Then he took us back to the cab driver, gave him the address, and that's how we were able to get to our location. But that's just one example of many. Like I said, even this guard right here, he opened this location for us, and it's an amazing view in front of me. Kids are down playing on the beach. You see these small street side vendors selling all kinds of stuff. Families are out here. There's some other people taking pictures too, but this is definitely a famous tourist spot that people should come. Yeah, I'm here at the Majorelle Garden. I'm sure I'm butchering the name, but this is one of the most visited places in Marrakesh. A famous French painter came here in the early 1900s and spent quite a bit of his life here. He decided to live here. He bought this land and lived here for several years. And after that, he hired somebody to build this whole garden. Uh, and for some time, it was, after he died, no one really looked after him. And then in the late 1900s, when people resurrected this area, and that's when the visitors started coming back to this. And I'm going to show you what's in there. it's so hot outside, it's almost 90 degrees. Actually, even above 90 degrees. But as soon as you come here, because of all the trees and the shadows that they give out, it's very soothing, very calm. The temperature is perfect inside. But as soon as you walk out, you'll start sweating. I'm enjoying the walk actually. There's lots more to explore, and I'm gonna continue to walk. Alright, I've made it to Casablanca. Right here outside the Muhammad II Masjid. It is the biggest masjid after Mecca and Medina. It can accommodate up to 25,000 worshippers. This minaret behind me is huge. It's hard to capture the whole thing in one picture. And it's an amazing sight here. It's right next to the beach of Casablanca. Lots of people out here, and it's pretty lively. And I'll show you some sights from the inside now.
It took us about, I don't know, about 5 to 10 minutes on a cab from the train station to get here. We're reading online, they said to get to the mosque it's going to take you almost half hour, but the cabs in Morocco are cheap enough that you can travel using them. I mean, pretty much to get anywhere within the city, it's going to be $1 or two at most. So it's a very cheap and very convenient way of traveling. And cabs are almost available throughout the entire city. So, once we got here, we were pretty amazed by how huge this place is. It's actually it's a 22-acre area that this mosque occupies. In order to build this, 1,400 men worked during the day and another 1,100 during the night. So, over 2,000 people working on this. And then there were 10,000 artists and craftsmen participate in the building and beautifying the mosque. So if you can see all the calligraphy and, well, I don't think you can see it because it's so high up there. But nonetheless, it is there. And uh, look at the pillars. Look at the bottom of the pillars. How the green design over there. And then there's lots more design inside the building. Unfortunately, we couldn't go in because the mosque only opens during the time of prayer, and when we were there, I think the next prayer was, I think, almost 2 hours away, and we didn't want to wait that long. But look at it. I mean, it's huge, right? I mean, um, just these pillars and walkway by the mosque is huge. It's worth seeing. And anyone who comes to Morocco must see this. And this very tall pillar right here, I had to bend down, far down as much as I can to get the whole pillar. That's how huge it is. And then this door right in front of me, that's also huge. You see those two people standing right by it. I mean, how small they look in comparison to the gigantic door. So that just gives you an idea of how large the mosque is. As soon as you go in, I mean, the ceiling is even higher than that door. Uh, but it's a place that one ought to visit. So this was, the best place that I liked. So when you're here, make sure to visit these places.